didn't make it into the Webtoons Legend Contest shortlist, here's what you do next. Don't give up. You probably don't need me telling you how disheartening it is to pour your heart and soul into over 120 panels, and probably more because you're crazy, only to not even get an honorable mention. It's a pretty harsh place to be, and yet years after falling short on every single Webtoon contest I've joined, I'm still here and drawing my delusional stories. So what is one to do after facing a grueling defeat at the hands of the editorial gods? Tip 1. Take a nap. Tip 2. Take a walk, smell the roses, maybe stare longingly into the sky. Tip 3. Time to reflect on yourself. Okay, I was not memeing about the first 2 tips, so definitely do those first before this step. It is always good practice to reflect on your goals as an artist after creating any body of work. Whether that is submitting a comic entry for a contest, finishing an illustration that took 30 hours, or even finishing 10 chapters of your long-running webcomic. But since it would be boring for me to yap about how to go about this, I made a silly little flowchart. It's low-key jank, but it will get the job done. So first step, your eyes are glimmering full of hope and inspiration, and thus you have a story idea. And so, do you want to create this idea into a webcomic? Duh, yes, because that's why you are watching this video. So then you decide you are going to make that webcomic. Hooray! Side note, if you want a video on how to turn your ideas into a coherent webcomic story, you can watch my previous video that I have linked on the top right hand corner. I got you covered there. And this is where the flowchart will divulge in 2 different paths. So the first path is, start whenever you're ready. You do not have a definitive start date. You're going to truly take the time to polish the ideas, get your thoughts in order, design that character up into your liking, and then you're gonna start whenever. And after all of that pre-production and you're still nervous about starting, you can watch my other previous video, which is why you should start a webtoon even though you think you suck. Do not let yourself be the reason why you never start the comic. Definitely do not fall into the trap of never starting your comic. Out of anxiety and fear, just do the damn thing. And of course, remember to have fun and enjoy the process of learning all of the skills needed to draw, write, color, edit, panel, all that jazz. And that is where this path ends. On the other side of the road, the publisher that you have been looking up to announces a contest. Side note, many manga and comic publishers do have contests hosted at least once a year. Depending on the publisher, it could be more frequent. Definitely keep an eye on all the dates. But for the focus of this video, Webtoon announces their Legends 2025 contest. Cool! For the uninitiated, the first round of this contest has already passed by the time of this video. But to give context, it is a call to action for any aspiring Webtoons artist. You are to submit a story to any of the genres listed on the website, so either most feels for romance and drama, most epic for action fantasy, most gripping for horror, thriller, mystery, supernatural, and most laugh for comedy slice of life. And depending on the genre, you do have a panel and episode requirement, which is listed on the website. But the difference between this and starting your webcomic whenever is that there is a definitive deadline. So knowing this, fire is slipped under your butt, and it is time to get to work. So next question, why do you want to participate? What do you hope to gain from joining this contest? Well, the obvious option, that sweet, sweet cash prize. We've all seen it. Can't blame anyone. Alrighty, next reason. Your comic gets a chance of serialization. Yes, one of the offerings for placing in this contest is that you get a chance to pitch your comic as a brand new Webtoons original. Which, for context, if your work is selected by a Webtoon editor or editorial team, and if given the green light to publish, it becomes a Webtoon original. And that is the series under the Webtoon family, and they have their own section along with pretty cool perks like a banner image, some editorial assistant, ability to add music to accompany your episodes, and of course another sweet perk of being serialized is you do get a weekly income as long as you produce weekly updates. The income comes every time you upload an episode. Getting paid to draw comics? That sounds great to you? Cool, because the contest will give you a chance to pitch. Next reason, exposure to new readers. As much as Webtoon has a lot of titles, to the point where it's overwhelming, and it seems like an oversaturated market with tons and tons and tons of stories coming out, looking at the romance and action section, posting during contest period on a platform with plenty of foot traffic like Webtoon, it is a great time to get your first batch of new readers, and likely a very engaged audience if they are invested in your success in this contest. As you can see, the Webtoon Contest does have its own subsection for contest entries, and a lot of readers want to cheer on some new work they discover, or they discover a brand new artist. Joining a contest of this size is a great time to get exposure. And the final and not least important reason, first time drawing a comic and here for the ride. Nothing motivates someone more to start their webcomic adventure than a hard deadline. Contests are great because there is a deadline, and for you to at least get 3 episodes done. With the deadline and panel and episode requirement, you are forced to learn on the job, in the moment, and just do it. So with that said, all 4 of these reasons are all valid reasons. You want money, you want financial security, you want a new audience, you want to start your new reader base. All good reasons. But now, the next thing you need to ask yourself is, what does success as a webtoon or webcomic artist look like to you? And this is only asking for yourself and not anyone else. First reason, money. So if you theoretically want a contest, you can get paid, and you can get paid to do comics if you keep going, or you can just take the contest money and run. However, for that reason, you are required to be at least the top 40 out of, I believe it was over 1.4 thousand applicants. And will you continue comics after winning said prize? Up to you. I don't think Webtoon locks you into continuing the comics if you win, but I could have also not read the fine line, so go read that yourself. But theoretically, let's say contest is out of the question. If you intend to make webcomics or webtoons for money, just know you're not going to be a millionaire, and a big chunk of the artists you love are not making 6 figures just from webtoons alone. So definitely keep that in mind if that is your main motivator. If you're expecting to become a millionaire living in a McMansion and driving a Ferrari off of Webtoon, there are expectations to be managed. The next path is your comic becoming serialized under the Webtoons Originals family. Now, there is a great benefit to becoming an original. First being, you will get a surge of readers due to being a Webtoons Originals. Sometimes they are promoted on Webtoons socials, and because you are an original title, you're kind of already built in and pushed to the front page by default. But definitely keep in mind that doing 40 plus panels on a weekly basis could be quite daunting, so be sure to ask yourself if that's realistic for you. And should you go the serialization route, make sure you also have other forms of income to sustain weeks you're not uploading. Remember, I mentioned you are only paid for the week you upload, so if you're not uploading, definitely find ways to keep yourself afloat there. Having your title be associated with Webtoon original content could also open doors for print publishing agent deals and all the extra cool stuff independent artists would strive to get. But definitely, most importantly, please read your contract before signing. If serialization sounds good to you, cool. If success to you looks like more readership, cool. Let's say your title does gain a lot of traction on the Webtoon Legend Contest, and you also have other bodies of work and other webcomic series that you may have been working on before the contest. You can also funnel your brand new readership into your other pieces of work and also your social medias should they want to venture off the platform. So if success means more eyes on your work, sounds good to me. If success to you looks like just getting that first comic done, amazing. You have built brand new readership from the ground up. Obviously, all of us artists do have to start from somewhere. We don't start with millions of readers off the bat. And just simply getting that first comic done. When you do your first comic, and no matter how skilled you are at drawing or how experienced you are at writing, if you married both together, it is still a brand new skill set to learn. So yeah, you create webtoons on the job, and nothing helps anyone learn better than just doing it. So as iterated for the past 5+ minutes or so, They are all good benefits for even participating in the contest with a chance of winning all 4 of these things. So you submit to the contest and then you wait and wait. So there was quite a gap between the submission period, or when submissions open, to the announcement date of the shortlist series. So that's why the wait was so long. And the results are in. So let's just get the good feelings out of the way. You've made the shortlist, and your next step is you draw more comics. Hello, you have a contest to win. Good luck to all of the current entries that have made it through the shortlist. Side note, I have read every single shortlist. Some of these are actually mutuals that I have been friends with. I'm so happy for them. Be sure to check out the list. I have linked it down below. And let's say hypothetically they do place in the top 40. And so if their reasoning for joining was money, ka-ching! And they decide they still want to draw comics, they're gonna draw more comics. Okay, let's say their goal was to get serialized. Cool, they get to pitch their comic to the editorial team, and they get the green light, which means they're gonna produce weekly episodes on Webtoons, and if they do get serialized, definitely support them if you see a familiar title, which means they get to draw more comics. Okay, let's say their goal was to get exposure to new readers. Well, they're gonna get that exposure because the shortlist literally has its own page. Cool! That means they get to draw more comics. Let's say it's their first time in here for the ride. Damn, they're lucky. Winning contest on first try? Well, that means they're gonna draw more comics. Alright, now to the pep talk. You didn't make the shortlist. Drats! Let's say your motivation was to earn money, and you get no money from your comics in the immediate future. However, you can slowly build a readership from this point on, and you can build interest for readers to purchase their merch, prints, and physical books if that's in your future, which requires you to draw more comics. Let's say your goal was serialization. The number 1 best way to pitch your webtoon to an editorial team is to post on Webtoon Canvas, which is the site of Webtoon where you can self-publish for free. The editorial team does check out the Canvas section very often, and whichever comic catches their eye, they will check out your work. If your story hits in a way that helps build out their originals catalog, they could reach out to you and potentially give you an opportunity to pitch. So the more you post your comic, improve your artwork, improve your storytelling, promote your work, is more chances you can get noticed by the editorial team, which requires you to draw more comics. Now let's say your end goal was to get exposure to new readers. Well, hello new readers! And you post in the contest, you probably have gained either familiar readers from your previous work or social medias, and you probably have a new audience just from the contest alone. And so this is when you promise them brand new episodes because you're on the high of this newfound readership and you are going to draw more comics. Now, let's say this was your first time in here for the ride. Wow, what a ride it was. And now you know how to draw comics. So either you continue your story that you are still very excited to write and draw, or you can just start on a brand new story. Another idea you had in the back burner. Now that you have the skills to produce a comic, you can bring that on to your future work. And this is when you will draw more comics. So at the end of the day, no matter if you win this contest or you lost this contest, or no matter your motivation, at the end of the day, you will draw more comics. And this is a very long-winded way of me saying just do not give up. If you really want to get your personal story out there, or you're still very excited about your ideas or your characters, or you just have a burning passion to create something for yourself, you are always going to find a reason to keep going. Remember, it all comes down to how much you want to put your story out there. External factors like subscriber count, whether or not the editorial team chooses you produce for their platform, then you are going to find reasons and ways to put your comic out there that if no matter who judges your work, if creating a story fills your cup, you will find a reason to keep doing it. That's all for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do got some cool new illustration projects cooking, so I hope to see you in the next video and wishing you all an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye!